All right, unit leaders, you can open the doors.
GM got a plan for you. Don't you worry now. Yeah. Wait a minute. Does that mean I get to say snack tag? Yeah! We have enough time because I'm going to say I'm not going to cut it until we do what we have to do. We can do it. You don't have the mic in your hand. We can do baseball. I don't know how we do baseball. He's doing announcements tonight. So he's going to do baseball. I don't know how we do baseball. Like this one. And Tommy said I can't say it.
And they can be up there and get never allowed out.
It's not do anything.
Yeah, but then we'll just have two people go up there and climb and get everyone going. Like,
And then what we do?
And then he's just never going to say snack tag.
Oh, like never gonna say
Not say it
it.
at all.
We won't say it at all.
Yeah. Or you can say it and then like cut it right before the snack tag song starts. So if you want, you got to throw me in the air and then it's all.
I'll do it. I'll do that, but then I'll do it again.
How much time do we have? How much time do you have? Do you know?
So what are we doing?
We're doing synchronized swimming.
You guys can do it.
No, we can just row. We can do the classic row.
Let's do I want to do something new. Or I can just sit on the stage and go pretend it's a joystick and have two people get the other mic. Now we get the other mic and we sit in the front.
Yeah, you two fight each other. With the round number, like the lady. Wait, what?
Yeah. Hey, I got it.
No, you two can
Watch.
fight.
So me and Perry will be playing video games. Yeah. Me and Perry are gonna play video games. We'll get mods in here. So you guys are gonna fight. You guys are gonna fight. You're gonna be like, after you. You're gonna fight. Andrew wants to do that. Andrew wants to do that. Yeah, we'll find something. Brady will be my fight. And Sully will be Perry's fight. Here, Jimmy Lewis. We're not actually going to fight here. So, we're going to sit down. We're going to sit down and do the fights.
Doing the yard over there.
We're going to sit down in the front and do the fights.
Like right in the middle center.
Yeah, so first, they're just going to sit like this and like just scroll like that. Like, I'm going to do it in the beginning, just scroll. And then like, you'll go. And then you go. And then he'll get. And then Louis gonna come in.
What's that? That's a little out of the way now. Okay. What's that? Do it.
And then you guys just pretend.
Yo. Actually knock him out. Yo, elbow him. You got elbow right in the jaw, And then what do you got?
Like that, and then you guys just gonna be like this.
It could be.
And then Louis gonna come in with the wing, and then he's gonna say fight. No, don't pick the fighter. That'd be weird. Look, you be over there, and you be over there, and then you be in front of your guy, you be in front of his guy. Real quick, just walk in, just like this. And then you walk in. And what's
No, you can treat it like those boxers when they're in the ring, that little game. So and you're just like, it's like
no, it's like a little combat.
Green team.
The red team.
The green team.
They can do the sound of a fight during the
Wow.
Wow! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Monday Night Rally! They seem super excited, Perry.
I haven't seen it this crazy since last year. I'm not gonna lie, since last year, week
You're right.
7.
I want to know, Perry, is there a blue team in the building?
Is there a blue team in here?
Alright. Alright, that was alright. That was alright. That's right. Is there a red team in the building? Wow. 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 I don't know. Was that the blue team and the red team together?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let's save the competition though.
You're right.
For the Boo Bar Bash tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you heard him. Tonight is the Boo Bar Bash.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the Boo Bar Bash. It's the biggest competition between the blue team and the red team. And all the noise you can make aside, that is not going to define which is the better team. So we're going to start the competition right here, right now.
That's right.
And we're going to do a relay race.
That's right, Perry. So we need 2 people from the red team, a guy and a girl, and the same thing from the blue team. I'm going to pick for the blue. He's going to pick for the red. So I need...
Come on up here. I need a guy. I need a red team guy.
Guys, I'm sorry. We're picking. And I need
Alright.
a girl.
This girl right here. And you, sir.
Yeah, we're good. All right. So, Perry, why don't you explain the rules of the game? All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, basically what's going to happen is, first of all, we need the aisles completely clear. If you're standing in an aisle, please remove yourself from the aisle, because what's going to happen is when I say go, the girls are going to line up. They're going to run straight up the center alley. They're going to run out the back door, and then the red team girl is going to run to her left, blue team to the right, and they're going to come back down the respective aisles, loop around, tag the guy, and he's going to do the exact same thing. So...
Clear
Brian,
the
are we ready?
aisles, ladies and gentlemen. Clear the aisles.
Please clear the aisles. We cannot stress this enough.
All right, Perry. In 3,
2, 1, go!
Wow.
People, cheer them on as
And
they
they're off,
run.
ladies and gentlemen. Cheer on your team.
It's a little bit slick on the outside there. Hopefully they manage okay.
Hopefully they don't,
Make sure they know to come and
Go,
tag
blue
their
team.
teammate. Go, go, go. And the red team is off.
The blue team has a decent lead.
They're a little bit ahead.
Can the red team
almost
make
wiped
up
out
for
again.
it? I don't know. We're going to find out in just a couple
Make
seconds.
sure they know to come here and tag your hand. Tag your hand. Oh, my goodness. Brian, that one goes to
The blue
team.
Wow. That was close. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because like I said, tonight is a Boo Bar Bash. So don't worry about what just happened. Tonight, you get to prove what team is best. Isn't that right, Perry?
We've got so many games specifically designed to test all of your skills and see which team is actually better. We got about 5 games in total. You guys have to give it your absolute all tonight at the Boo Bar Bash. And the loser, they gotta...
There's a nasty...
Let me just say, you don't want to lose at Boo Bar Bash
You don't
tonight.
want to lose. And may I add, if you win, there is a really good chance you'd probably win the entire week.
That's true. That is true.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
People, I cannot hear you right now. Where's the red team?
Where is the blue team? If you're sitting down, you need to stand up.
Please stand
We're going
up.
to start in 10 seconds. Count down with us.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wow. Whoa. Wow. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the band. Wow. That was awesome. That was great. Ladies and gentlemen, who here is excited for the Boo Bar Bash tonight? I want to know who thinks the blue team is going to win. All right. All right. Now, who thinks the red team is going to win? Wow. Wow. I don't know. It sounds pretty close. But ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that tonight is the Boo Bar Bash. And tonight, the winner of tonight's activity will definitely put you in a great advantage for the rest of the week. So, try your best, because it may be what wins you this week. Now, after Boo Bar Bash, you're probably really hungry, because I know I am. I'm usually starving. So, you can go to the top of the rock and get yourself something right in front of the camp store. We have the Jack Wharton Burger, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Wow. The Pepper Jack Wharton Burger, ladies and gentlemen. You can get it. It's his very own ingredients. His recipe, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the top of the rock where you can get your very own burger right after the Boo Bar Bash. It's right across from the Snack Shack. Cut! Cut! Wow. Let me just say, before I move on, that was amazing. That was amazing. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. Well, no, I won't. Ladies and gentlemen, who here is going for Cabin of the Week? Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going for Cabin of the Week, make sure that you not only have a chant for breakfast, but you also dress up as a twin. Tomorrow is Twin Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. It's not Triplet Tuesday. It's Twin Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a very, very special announcement. The leader of our band here, Ryan, has produced a wonderful EP that you can get online, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that right? Yes, him and his brother, they call themselves Overflow Worship. And ladies and gentlemen, you can get that song that we sang at the beginning. It's brand new, and they released it just before the summer. So you can get it online. Ryan Arnold, ladies and gentlemen. He may or may not sign it. Probably not. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why you're clapping. I'm just kidding. I know why you're clapping. And if you're asking me, Brian, are you going to say it again? I don't know if I'll ever have the chance again. So yes, Snack Shack. All right, cut. Cut. All right. That was awesome. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sing a few more songs. And tonight is a really special night. So before we get into that, on a more serious note, we're going to have one of our very own program guys come up and give his testimony. He's going to be talking about an experience that he's had with Christ and how Christ has changed his life. So, give it up for Brady James, Bradford James, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo! Wow. So yeah, I'm going to share a little bit about what God's done in my life in the past few years. So when I was growing up, I wasn't growing up in a Christian household. But when I was about 9 or 10, my parents started searching for the Lord a little bit. And we started going to different churches, some Catholic churches. And eventually my mom found this Christian church, First Baptist of Patchogue, which is actually here this week. So we started going there, and I was about 9 or 10 years old when I accepted the Lord as my Savior, actually through the ranch camp. So they took me to Word of Life, and I made the decision, but I didn't really know what I was supposed to do after that. So afterwards, flash forward a couple of years, I definitely wasn't necessarily a bad kid, but I just didn't know how to live for the Lord. And I was seeking acceptance really hard throughout my grade school years, throughout middle school. And I was chasing after women, or girls, chasing after, not that far. And I was chasing after just acceptance throughout middle school, and there was this girl I got in a relationship with, and it messed me up really badly. I actually ended up working at Word of Life Island, and I thought I'd gotten over this girl, but it just started going and spiraling down into, I ended up ending up in like a deep depression over it, and it was super, like, I've never been through anything like that, but that girl in my life and that horrible relationship that I felt like the Lord gave to me and then tore from me, ended up being the reason why I rededicated my life at snow camp when I was like 14 or 15. And that's when I started taking my faith seriously. I started praying for more Christian friends, and the Lord blessed me with so many Christian friends, so many different youth groups that I didn't even know existed in Long Island. And he completely answered that prayer for me. Now, throughout this time, I discovered, maybe I was in like middle school, I discovered rap music, and I was super in love with rap music. And during this time, I was listening to these artists who would speak horrible lies into my life every day. And so becoming a new Christian, or rededicating my life, still having these thoughts in my head, it was still super difficult. I had to cut it out for a while. And some older people in my life started seeing this passion of music in my life, and they were like, hey, why don't you start making some songs, doing some cover songs. So I was like, okay. So I started making some little cheesy cover songs or whatever. And eventually I fell in love with it. And I used to hate rap music and all that. And through rap music, the Lord grew my faith a lot. And I developed this passion that I had for it. Flash forward to I was about 17 years old. I was working with my friend on music, and this person has a lot of connections around the place. And we ended up winning like a little competition with Def Jam and Atlantic Records, and he asked a few investors to come out with us. And those investors, after seeing us at this performance back, I was like 17 years old, they ended up wanting to invest in us hard. But we didn't sign any contracts, but we were acting like we signed contracts with them. So they were taking us to horrible places, places that a 17-year-old kid from the suburbs should not be going in any lifetime. And they were taking us to, trying to get us to perform at clubs that we weren't even old enough to be in. They were trying to get us to change our image, trying to get us to drop Christianity. And at the time, I thought it was me and my friend versus the world. We were like, oh, we're going to make an impact. You guys are going to see a video from Rachel Lee Carter, and she talks about making her industry her ministry. And I thought I was doing that, but my parents knew I wasn't. So I ended up breaking off from my parents, my family, from a lot of people. My mom ended up not letting me do music at the house anymore. And for that span, about 3 months, living at my friend's house and at home, going back and forth, just torn relationships, I realized that this whole industry was not what I was ready for. And I ended up walking away from a lot of stuff that I thought the Lord had given to me. But so through that, I thought I wasn't going to come to the BI anymore during that time, because I was about to sign something that would say I would be on contract for like 2 years. And I ended up walking away from it, and I realized I need to come to the BI, the Bible Institute, to grow my faith in the Lord. And through that, the Lord has shown me a lot. And definitely throughout my years, the thing that I struggled with most is definitely purity and keeping my thoughts pure and my conversations pure. And a big verse that stuck out for me in my testimony in my life is Romans 8:1. And it says, therefore, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So I want to encourage you guys. I don't know where all of you are at, but know that there's nothing that could separate you guys from the love of God. Whether you're a kid like me who didn't really do anything bad, as the world would say, or you've lived the worst of the worst, that Jesus is here and he came to love on you guys. So thank you so much.
Sometimes I ask myself, what would I do if I had no fear? I imagine things I'd do and dreams I'd fulfill. But it's fear that keeps us where we are. Fear of the unknown, of being hurt, of failing. It controls us. I tell myself I'll be different. But then the fear takes me. I can feel it throughout my body. And in that moment, fear is the most real thing. The fear rushes through my head, flooding it with so many voices that I can't even think. So I shut down.
You are not alone. I will not let you fall.
Fear is still there. It doesn't just go away. But it's different somehow. Because now I have a promise. Everything feels different on the other side. And sometimes it even feels like it's getting easier. But it doesn't. The fear never really goes away. You push past your limits just to find a bigger version of the same fear. You have to keep pushing. But that's not what being fearless looks like. Not for most of us. It may not be on a city rooftop, stage, or stadium, but we still feel fear every day. But fearlessness isn't having no fear. It's not letting fear control our mind and choices. And no matter how big the fear or unknown the outcome, there are some promises we can count on for everything.
You are not alone.
Well, it's a good video and a great way for us to start off tonight as we take some time and we talk about, like Ryan said, the most important message. And I'm excited to be with you guys again tonight, and I'm pumped up to share with you. I want to start off by asking you, do we have anybody in here, any athletes in here? Do we have anybody who, and yeah, that's what I thought. Anybody, maybe you're not, or who enjoys sports in general? Who enjoys sports? And maybe you're not an athlete, but awesome. Anybody in here just cannot stand sports? Anybody like that? Only a couple left. Only a couple left. Do we have any basketball players in here? Where are basketball players at? What about any soccer players in here? What about, do we have any football players in here? I'm getting excited. Any baseball players? Not as many baseball. Well, I enjoy sports myself. And I played a lot of team sports, but really for me, I'm a huge fan of action sports, of like X Games type stuff. Do we have anybody in here who likes that? Snowboarding or extreme sports or anything like that? Skateboarding, BMX, yeah. Yeah, so that's been like a passion of mine, and I love extreme sports and action sports. And I want to start off tonight talking about one of those sports. It's a sport called wakeboarding. It's it's a sport that I really enjoy, and it's very popular in this area because we live right here on a lake. And so I don't know if you guys know that much about wakeboarding or not, but I'll show you. This is a picture of somebody wakeboarding right here. So you can see the board and the boots are attached to the board. And this is our friend Emily. She's actually won the X Games. She has a gold medal. And this is her here at the island. She comes up every summer. But so she is wakeboarding right here. She is that rope that she's holding on to is attached to a boat. And then she is going on top of the water attached to that board that's on her feet. So it's kind of like a little bit like snowboarding. It's a little bit like surfing, kind of a mix, but you're going behind a boat and you're on top of the water. Here's another picture of wakeboarding. This is me, and I'm just kidding. That's not me. That's not me. That's our other friend who's a professional wakeboarder. So you can see, I mean, that's a pretty amazing picture. He's jumping the wake that the boat creates. So that's why they call it wakeboarding, because that wave behind the boat is called the wake, and he's jumping off that wake, and he's upside down, flipping and spinning. And so it's a really awesome sport, and it's a sport that I really enjoy. And I have grown up out here on this lake wakeboarding for so much of my life. And it's really cool. I love the adrenaline that you get from it. I love the jump, across the wake and be in the air. And it's really a cool thing for me. And the wakeboard in particular is an important part. Obviously, you've got to have a wakeboard on your feet. And there's a lot of different wakeboards out there, just like there is any type of equipment. There's expensive shoes, and there's expensive cleats, and there's expensive, all this stuff. And so there are nice wakeboards. And so I'm not going to give you the entire story, but the short story is I had an incredible wakeboard. It was one of the top of the line wakeboards, and I something I could never have actually bought for what it was worth, but because of I knew somebody who knew somebody, and I ended up with this incredible once in a lifetime wakeboard. It was a wakeboard that was not just autographed by one of the best wakeboarders in the world, but he had actually used this wakeboard in a competition, and then he had autographed it. So it was like this professional's wakeboard that then I ended up with, and it was autographed, and it was like the coolest wakeboard ever. I couldn't imagine a cooler wakeboard. And so I had that wakeboard, and it was awesome. I had a ton of fun on it. I would ride it around out here on the lake. And a couple summers ago, we had 1 week every year out of the summer. We have a lot of these wakeboarders come to the island, and we do a special camp, and we teach students how to wakeboard. And then we do a big show. We do this big demonstration in front of the entire camp. And so all the campers, they go out here by the boathouse, and they line up on the rocks and on the shore by the boathouse. And our friends who are professionals, the boat drives by, and they jump and they do their tricks so that the entire camp can see. It's really awesome. Everybody cheers, and it's this exciting thing and this neat opportunity to see professional athletes. So this was a couple summers ago, and I have a friend that was here who's a wakeboarder. He's an athlete, and he came out here to help us, and he was going to be a part of this show in front of the entire camp. But he didn't have a wakeboard. He was flying in from California, and he didn't have a wakeboard, and so I said, hey, I've got an incredible wakeboard. You can use my wakeboard in the show. And I had no doubt in my mind. I mean, this guy's a professional athlete, and he's been wakeboarding for years and years. And so I actually have a video that I want to show you of my friend. This is my friend Andy, and he is on my wakeboard. You're going to see him do this incredible trick in front of the whole crowd here on the island. Here he is. It's in slow motion. Look at him doing a rally, which is like a Superman, and then he lands right here, and then falls. So you could see kind of the crowd, right? It was this good trick, and these videos, you always got to watch them twice. Oh, no, we got to go back. Here we go. I know, spoiler. So look, he's flying through the air, and he lands, and it looks like it's going good, and then he falls. And then he falls. I actually brought my wakeboard for you to see it tonight. This is my special, once in a lifetime, greatest wakeboard I could ever imagine. And here's what it looks like. This right here, this is the actual wakeboard that you just saw in that video right there. My friend Andy, who is a professional athlete and who is a very talented wakeboarder, he did that jump that we just watched, and when he landed, this happened to my wakeboard, to my special, never ever get it again wakeboard that's autographed and so cool. It broke. It snapped in half. Now, the good news is I was able to get a replacement. It's for free, but it's not nearly as cool as that one because it's not autographed and all that stuff. But at least I still have this one, and I can hang it up on my wall, and I even have a picture of Andy handing it to me, broken in half, hanging on the wall next to that board. But it's broken, right? It's snapped in half. This amazing, this thing that I was so proud of and that I was so excited about, it's broken. And it's of no use now apart from hanging up on the wall and a good story. It's broken. I can never use it to wakeboard again. Any of you guys, I'm sure you probably all have something in your life that you've cared a lot about, that you've loved, that's gotten broken at some point, right? I mean, we could probably go around this room tonight and we could talk all about something that was important to you that somehow broke. And now it's broken, and that's it. That's the end of whatever it was. I tell you that whole story, and I show you that wakeboard, all that tonight, because we're going to talk about this word broken. We're going to talk about broken, and I think, there's probably some funny stories that you can think of, and there's some tragic stories like the one I just told you. But what I want us to do tonight is, and we're not talking about things tonight. I want to talk to you about people. Broken people. That's what we're talking about. And I actually threw this up here on the screen. I don't know if some of you will get this, some of you will not. But we're broken people. If we're honest with ourselves, when we go around the room tonight, and we look deep inside our own lives and our own hearts, and we really are honest with ourselves tonight, we're broken. Right? I mean, you can't honestly look at the world that we live in and look at the things that are happening every single day. You can't look at those things and say, this is okay, this is normal. And it's very obvious for us when we look outside, when we look at other people. It's so obvious to us that we live in a world that is broken. It is not right. It's not the way it should be. It's a broken world. And that's very easy for us when we're looking out. But the truth is, and where I want us to get to tonight, is when we take the time and we look back at ourselves, if we are really honest, and we look into our heart. And the problem is we do a really good job of convincing ourselves that we're okay and that we're pretty good. But if we're honest with ourselves tonight and we look at our own hearts, the truth is we're broken. Right? I mean, maybe we're better than most of the other people that we come in contact with, and you're not doing anything that you're going to end up on the news for. You're not doing anything that you're going to get arrested for. But you know, at the end of the day, there's a battle going on inside of you, and you know that there is a part of you that is not right. Why do you feel like you want to do the wrong thing sometimes? And why do you do the wrong thing sometimes? Because we're broken people. And we're desperately all searching for a way to mend ourselves. We don't like that we're broken. And we're talking so much about fear this week, and really when I think about this topic of fear, one of the things that comes back to my mind over and over again is really what we are afraid of, is we are afraid of other people realizing that we're broken. Like when you look at what we want people to see, when you look at the life that we live in public, you look at what you're posting and what your feed is and what you want people to see, it's basically that you want them to see that you're not broken. We try so hard to convince ourselves and to convince those around us that we are the exception, that we're okay and we're not broken. It's everybody else that's broken. But really, when we're honest with ourselves, and I know I've said that so many times, but it's so important to this message tonight. You've got to come to that point where you realize and you can admit to yourself that you know inside of you it's not how it should be. It's broken. I want to show you in the Bible actually where it talks about this. It's this verse right here in Romans 3:23, and we actually saw this verse already this morning, but I'm going to talk to you about it again right now. And here's what it says. This is God talking to us, and it says, everyone has sinned and fallen short of God's glorious standard. You know what that brokenness inside of us, you know what that piece of us that's not okay, that's not right, that's what the Bible is calling sin. And I don't know if you're familiar with that word. Probably you've heard it before at some point in time. If you've been to church, maybe you've heard about sin. We've talked about it a little bit so far. But sin is the stuff that we do, the actions and the thoughts and the things that we do that are not right, that are not okay. And you guys know what it is, and I don't think I could go around the room and find anybody in here tonight that could honestly stand up and say, I've never done anything wrong in my life. And if you did, you'd be going against what the Bible says. The Bible is telling us right here, and it's easy for us to agree with this statement. Everyone has sinned. We're all broken people. Inside of us, sin has gotten inside of our heart. It's gotten inside of our mind, and it's messed us up. That's why we want to do the wrong things sometimes. That's why it's okay for us to break the rules and to do the wrong thing. We've all fallen short of God's glorious standard. You know what that means? Is because of we're not good enough. The entire universe. He is. You hear the word God. He has never done. He's perfect. He is the Almighty. I'll admit. We've all done the wrong thing. Sin, we fall short of the standard that God has set, which is perfect. And inside of us, it has separated us. He's over here, and he is inside of us has caused people to overlook sin, for him to say, you know what, deny that he just separates us from God. It's created. We can no longer have a relationship. Because it says is death. All done. Not right. The consequence. And you guys know about consequences, right? Because you've probably all experienced them in your life. This thing, you can't have one without. is one thing that every single person, someday we are all going to get to the end. That is because it's good. God is over sin that is inside. We have done, we've separated between us that we can't, and the consequence for our day is coming years from now, but at some point each with that moment and that is in our hearts, we will be separated. Scariest thing this week, there is nothing in the entire world than dying. It tells us a real place called hell, joked about before, and people are going to be all my, we're going to meet up, actually look at what hell. And the very worst part is that you are separated from the only thing that is good. You've been separated. Everybody will, because that is the separated from God. A word as long as you can ever possibly. Keeps going. It says, gives of life forever. The scariest thing about is this right here. It says, God gives of life forever. I mean, that it's in Christ Jesus our in all the world. You've probably heard of that verse before. People all God loved that he gave his one and only Son, so who believes in him may not be lost in life. See, here's the thing. God sin in our lives created. He didn't create me to me with the purpose of heaven. The fact that sin in my life is not okay. He realized that he had to as it says right here, and only Son. Jesus died for you. That's what this verse is talking about. In the Bible, Jesus, who is the God of the entire universe, needed to be done in order to restore. Jesus, who was in heaven, he became a human. He created humans. God became, was born in the city of Bethlehem. The whole world on this earth, never once sinned, did anything wrong. He was the only not be broken. He was living his life. God of the they had to trust and upset. Those people, false trial, they put him before the and that he wasn't who he said he was, and so they our universe. And they took a in it and they whipped Jesus over and over and over, and it pulled the skin right off of his body, and then they grabbed him by the beard, and the Bible tells us they pulled his beard right out of his face. And then, because he was claiming to be a king, they took a crown of thorns. They took a thorn bush with long, hard thorns, and they shoved it down onto his head, and it pierced into his skin. And then, after all of that, they took a wooden cross, an object that I'm sure you're all familiar with at some point. You've seen it. They took that cross, and they put it on Jesus' back, and they made him carry it through the town up onto a hilltop, onto a place where everybody could see, and they laid him down on that wooden cross. And the Bible tells us this: they took nails and they pounded nails through his hands and through his feet, laying on the ground on a wooden cross. And then they took that cross and they stood it up in front of the entire world to see. He hung next to two other people who had committed crimes. We just sang about that. He hung on the criminal's cross. They took the only person in the history of the world that never did anything wrong, and they gave him the death of a criminal. And he hung on that cross in front of the entire world. Everybody that was there that day, they saw the God of the universe, the person who had created them, hanging in front of them. And eventually, through a terrible, torturous death, Jesus hung on that cross. And finally, after he had no strength left in him, he didn't bleed to death. He didn't die because of exposure. He died because he had no more strength, and he could no longer pull himself up and take a breath. He suffocated to death, hanging on a cross, bleeding. The Bible tells us that he was not even recognizable anymore. Had it not been for the name that they put on the top of the cross, you wouldn't have even known who it was. He hung on that cross and he died. The God of the universe died a criminal's death. They took him down off of the cross. They wrapped him up and they put him in a tomb. They didn't have cemeteries like we do now. They had big tombs where they carved a hole into a cliff and they put him inside there, and they rolled a giant rock in front of it, and that was it. On Friday, he hung on the cross and he died. They took him down and they put him in the tomb. And then Saturday happened. And then Sunday morning, Jesus' friends were going to that tomb, and they were sad. And they went to the tomb and they were going to lay flowers there, and they were going to cry and mourn over Jesus. And when they got there, you know what they saw? That giant rock that had been guarding the front of the tomb had been rolled away. And when they went inside to find Jesus, he was gone. Because Jesus was the God of the universe, and he was the creator of all of life. And so he died on the cross. They put him in that tomb. But on Sunday morning, he had the power to overcome death. He was victorious over death and over sin. And he, under his own power, raised back to life. And that's what we were just talking about when we sang that song. Death was arrested, because when Jesus came back to life, he had victory and power over death. And when he died on the cross as the perfect God, as somebody who had never sinned, when he died on the cross that day, he paid the penalty for your sin. There was nobody else that could ever do that except for God. But because God was perfect, when he hung on that cross and died and then rose again 3 days later, he paid the penalty. He paid the penalty that you owed. It was a debt that you owed, that you were going to be eternally separated from God. But because of Jesus doing what he did for you, now you and me, we can have a relationship with God. We can have a relationship with God. Even though God's perfect and we're sinners, we're broken, there's nothing we can do to fix ourselves. There is a wall between us. But because Jesus, who was perfect, died on the cross, and when he did, he paid for our sin, and then he rose from the dead, conquering death. He destroyed that wall that was blocking us from having a relationship with God. The only person that could ever do that was Jesus, and he did it for you. He destroyed the wall. It's important to mention, I want to show you this verse in Ephesians because a lot of people get confused on this. Here's what it says. You have been saved by grace through believing. You did not save yourselves. It was a gift from God. It was not the result of your own efforts, so you cannot brag about it. Here's where a lot of people get confused. They think that they have to believe in what Jesus did and also be a good person, and also give money or go to church or do these things. But the Bible is specifically saying that is not true. The only thing that can restore that relationship to God, the only thing that can destroy the wall that's keeping you from knowing the God of the universe, is you believing in what Jesus did for you on the cross. That's the only thing. If you think that you also have to do good, that you also have to complete a list of things, then that's not right, and you're taking away from the power of Jesus. Jesus is the only way, and he is always good enough. He restored that relationship with God. I'm going to show you this last verse. One of the most important verses. Here's what it says. Anyone who calls on the Lord will be saved. That word, anyone. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what kind of family you're from. It doesn't matter the history. It doesn't matter if you have done more sins, if you've done more wrong than anybody else in this entire room. It doesn't matter if you're the best person in this room. It does not matter who you are, where you're from. There are no prerequisites. Every single person in this room can be saved by calling on the Lord. Every single person. Every single one of you in here can have a relationship with the God of the universe, the God who created you and who loved you so much that he sacrificed his son, that he sent him to earth to be a human and die a criminal's death. Every single one of you can know that God. You can have a relationship with him. And I'm not talking about like you can this thing out there that's so mystical. I'm talking about a real relationship where God can give you peace, where God will give you hope, where God will give you purpose in your life. That is available to every single person in this room tonight. Every single one of you. We are broken, but there is hope in Jesus. There is only hope in Jesus. There is no other way to experience hope but for Jesus. We're broken. We all know it. We need to be saved, and that is Jesus. That's what he did for you. Would you guys do me a favor? Would you kind of bow your heads and close your eyes? I want to talk for a minute. I wish I could talk to each of you individually, but we don't have time for that tonight. So as you close your eyes and bow your head, I'm going to talk to you for just a couple minutes. And I really want you to focus in on this. There's nothing mystical about bowing your head or closing your eyes, but it just gives us the opportunity to speak a little bit more privately. I'm going to start by asking this question. Is there anybody in here tonight who would say, I have a relationship with God. I believe in what Jesus did for me, and I know God, I have a relationship with him, and I'm going to spend eternity with him. If that's you, would you put your hand up for me? Just stick it up high. Awesome. You can put your hands down. There was a lot of you who put your hands up tonight, and that's awesome. That is really exciting that you guys know God, and I'm thrilled that you're here this week. There were some of you, though, who couldn't put your hand up. Being honest, you are saying to me tonight, I don't really know that I have that relationship. I don't know that I've ever believed in what Jesus did for me. I've never called on the Lord for salvation. So here's what I want to do tonight. I want to give you the opportunity to do that. I believe there's some of you in this room that you are ready to, you've understood tonight that you are broken and you're ready to look to Jesus for your salvation. With everybody who's still got their head down and their eyes closed, if that's you and you're ready to make that decision tonight, I'm going to lead you in a prayer. There's nothing special about what I'm going to say. You can actually say whatever you want, just in the quietness of your heart. The Bible tells us that what we say in our heart and in our mind, the Lord hears that. And so you can say any words you want as long as you're calling out to Jesus. But if you're unsure of what to say, I'll lead you in a very simple prayer. And you can just, again, you can say this in your heart tonight. If you're ready to believe in what Jesus did for you. You could say something like this. Jesus, I admit that I'm a sinner. And I believe that you died on the cross for me. And I'm ready to be a part of your family. That's it. It's that simple. Again, there's nothing special. There's no special power that comes along with those specific words. But if you're here and that's what you're ready to do, maybe you wanted to hear what I had to say first. Maybe you were unsure. I'll say it again real quick. Again, just with everybody with their head down, say something like this. If you're ready tonight to believe in Jesus and have that relationship, you can say, Jesus, I admit that I'm a sinner. I believe you died on the cross for me, and I'm ready to be a part of your family. You can say that, you can say your own words, but what is important is that you call out to Jesus and you believe in what he did for you. I want to ask you a question. I think there were some of you in here tonight who that was a decision that you made. You chose tonight to believe in Jesus. Maybe you said the prayer that I said, maybe you said your own words, but that was you tonight. If that's the case and you're in here tonight and you are believing in Jesus tonight, would you do me a favor? Would you put your hand up for me? I just want to see if you're in here tonight and that's what you did. Just stick your hand up. Everyone's got their heads down. Just put your hand up for me. I just want to see. Awesome. I see some of you putting your hands up. If you're in here tonight and that was the decision, tonight you're ready to believe in Jesus and you're ready to have that relationship with God, and you said tonight, you called on the Lord, just stick it up for me. Just want to see. I saw some of you already. Awesome. Cool. I want to ask you to do one more thing. If you just put your hand up, or even if you didn't, if tonight was the night when you said that, would you do me a favor? Would you look up at me? Everyone else got their eyes down. Just those of you who made that decision. I see you guys. Anybody else, if you made that decision, just look up at me. I just want to talk to you guys just for a minute. Awesome. This is the most important decision you can make in your life, choosing to believe in Jesus, because it's the only way that you can experience a relationship with the God of the universe. It's the most important thing. And I'm really excited for those of you who have made that decision tonight. We are all excited for you. So here's what we're going to do. Thank you guys for looking at me. You guys can all look up at me now. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. One more thing. One last thing. There were quite a few of you in here tonight who raised your hand and who looked up at me and said, I made this decision tonight to believe in Jesus. If you did that, I'm going to ask you to do one last thing. I'm going to ask you to stand up out of your seat and come stand down front with me down here, because we want to take a couple minutes and we want to talk with you. And I know right now you're probably like, whoa, that's crazy, but that's right. Awesome. would you do this? Would you guys do me a favor? There were quite a few of you, more of you, who said, I made that decision tonight. So maybe I understand if you're a little nervous. If you already know that you have a relationship with Christ, would you look to the person to your left and right and say, hey, if you're nervous, I'll go down with you. I'll walk down there with you, because I know there's some more of you out there who tonight, that was the decision that you made. Look to the person to your left and right and say, hey, I'll go down with you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We are excited about this decision. We are pumped up. You're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss any activity. We're not going to start anything at all. We just want to take a couple minutes and we just want to talk to you, because this is the most important decision you can ever make in your life. And so we want to make sure, we're just going to talk through a couple things. We're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to come sit right over here. So if that's you and you made the decision, you're not saved by walking down here. You're saved by calling on the Lord. But we would love to have the opportunity to talk to you for a couple minutes tonight and know, so we can help you come to understand exactly what this decision is. So, and all week long, maybe tonight you're hearing this for the first time. Maybe you're a little nervous. You're unsure. You're not sure you're ready to commit to the whole thing. I want to tell you, all week long, you talk to God and you let him know, God, I'm not sure. I want to believe in you, but I have some hesitations. Let him know. Be honest with him, because this week he wants to show you that he is the only way to salvation and that you can only experience a relationship with God through him. You guys are awesome. I'm going to turn it over to Eric, and he's going to wrap it up for us tonight.
All right. This is what, don't leave yet. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to pray for them and for whoever is here in this room as well. And then we're going to be dismissed. So let me pray real quick. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much again for your gospel. Thank you so much for the truth that you were willing to send your son to die on the cross for us, Lord. That even when we didn't deserve it, Lord, you made yourself a sacrifice. Father, thank you for the fact that not only we are free from hell, Lord, but we're also free from sin in life. Father, I pray for these people that just made this decision tonight, Lord, that you will be with them, that you will encourage them, that you will put the right people in their life, Lord, and that if they have any questions, Lord, that you will answer them. Lord, I also pray for those that are in this room that still haven't made that decision, Lord, that you will speak to their heart, Lord, that you will pull them to you, Lord, that you will speak to them, that they will realize, Lord, the need that they have for you, Lord. I pray that by the end of this week that everyone leave this island knowing you, Lord. Thank you so much again for your sacrifice. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. So this is what we're going to do. If you're sitting on the far left section, I'm going to ask you to stand up and head to the back. If you're sitting on the far left section, you could go ahead and move to the back. If you guys are here in the front, I'm going to ask you guys to walk to the left and sit in those benches, and you're going to have someone with you there. Everyone else, you are dismissed. So if you could leave the room quietly, you guys are dismissed. Once again, so if you guys could leave this room quietly, it will be appreciated.